3 times a day at dementia units, big, huge stainless steel trolleys come over for each meal 20 minutes prior, with all the food warmed up for the traditional meat eaters, vegetarians, diabetic options, etc. And then once the steel trays are taken out, they're put in big serveries with hot boiling water underneath. Then all the utensils are put there, and then the creamery, sugar, dessert options put in the fridge. So it's a big exercise sorting out all this food each meal for 30 people. But within that, incredibly, the vegetarian options can be extremely good. I mean, the salads and the chips, the omnipresent salad and chips, are always good for both parties, meat eating and non-meat eating. But for the vegetarian options, the kitchen staff often make a big effort, with frittatas and pizzas and dals and soups and other entities. So it's good if your mother isn't really a big eater of meat and she enjoys lighter food, say fish and salads and vegetables. Well, then when you're filling out the schedule, the meal schedule, which happens each season, it's good for your mother to be able to get food that she likes, or mother or father, food that they like and food that suits their system. Those are the 2 important things. I mean, they spend so much time at the meal table. It's nice if they can have food that they enjoy, and there's certainly a variety, but you need to sort of investigate, detective work, find out what's available, because if you're not really up to play with all the options that are available, the traditional meal will just be rolled out, the meat and 3 vegetables or whatever it is. Excuse me. And generally, the relative will be asked to fill out the meal options, which are seasonal. Each season they change, and Monday to Sunday rotating. But if the relative's not available to fill out the meal options, then it will be one of the staff members, generally the charge nurse, that will fill out the meal options. But just take some consideration with this to see what it is that your mother really does like eating and what suits her. Now, with the vegetarian options, they're extremely healthy. Lots of salads, lots of fresh fruit, seasonal vegetables, tomato, green pepper. The variety of food can often be really expensive, good quality options. And then, of course, for the vegetarians, there's the platters. If they don't like the vegetarian option, then, of course, the platter generally comes each day. I mean, that may not happen at every dementia unit, but where I was at, there was the platter with the crackers and the cheeses and the green gherkins and the green pepper and, a whole beautiful range of fresh vegetables and salads and crackers and cheeses that could be an option for the lunch as well if the person's appetite was waning. So look at that, there's just so many options available. But it takes a certain consideration to make sure that your mother is getting those options that she needs. I mean, if you find, for example, that she's putting on weight, you can see she's putting on weight, and then of course when she's weighed, it may be that she's put on, the typical 2-3 kilograms the first month, which often happens because of all the sugary food. Make sure then that she goes on to the lighter diet, which is often what the diabetics are put on, which is for dessert at lunchtime, fruit salad and yogurt, and then for morning and afternoon tea, and instead of the sugar slice, the Leamington and pavlova and custard squares and all those delicious sugary things, they'll have either a cucumber sandwich, asparagus roll, or some fruit like some grapes or a quarter of a kiwi fruit or something. But they're good options as well, and certainly they're healthy. So all efforts are going to be made by the staff to make sure that your mother has the right food. But like with anything, there's so much to consider in a dementia unit. It just pays to keep an eye on things, to go to the meals, to see with her maybe, once or twice a week, to see what she's eating, what her preferences are. Have her preferences changed compared to what she was eating before? If she's always enjoyed, salads and fresh vegetables, is that still the case? Or is it now that she prefers to have softer foods because maybe her dentures aren't fitting well or her digestion's not the same as it used to be? I mean, there's so many considerations with food, and things can change all the time. But if you're attentive and come to the meals and see what it is that your mother's enjoying, then, and what's working for her to keep her healthy and hydrated and well fed, then you can work with the carers and the charge nurse to make sure that that diet is, is really working for her. I mean, a big effort is made by kitchen staff, by the carers that serve the food. And then, of course, they have to take the food away and wash up all the dishes and tidy the kitchen, and 3 times a day. That's a really big mission. But it's a great activity for the dementia residents. They get to meet each other, to have something nice to eat. They get to engage with the staff in a social setting, which is actually really positive, because in the rooms, of course, they're engaging with the staff because of the cares, because they're needing help with either showering or dressing. But in the kitchen, in the dining area, it's more a social setting where the staff are serving them the food. So it's completely different dynamics. And it's positive for the residents. I mean, many of them consider it to be like they're in a restaurant and being served the food. And they can be quite demanding at times, the residents, in terms of whether their food's not hot enough, or it's too cold, or it's not enough, or whatever. Once they start to communicate, which of course is a positive thing, assertiveness can come with it, and especially at meal times, because that's when they can, assert their rights as to whether they like the food or not, or whether it's how they would have it in their own home or not. And often they send it back saying, we wouldn't have that in our own home. We wouldn't eat that in our own home. It's too cold. It's not hot enough. It's too much. You have to be, of course, everyone has their rights, but once 1 or 2 can start with that, it can spread like wildfire. But anyway, it's good that they can have their food, enjoy their food, communicate and chat while they're eating, and that it all works for them so that they get good nutrition and they're hydrated well, and they drink their water at the table or juice, which is always given to them, and that all round they're as happy and healthy as they can be, considering the situation they're in. So I've written these 2 books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit. With The Resident's Voice, all that needs to be put in place for the resident to go into the dementia unit, so much required, setting up the room and working out the routine and getting to know the staff and etc., etc. And then The Resident's Rise. Oh no, sorry, did I do that? Did I go the wrong way around? So The Resident's Voice about going into the unit, and The Resident's Rise once you're in the unit, all the things that can help enable the person to manage and settle once they're living in the dementia unit. So much we can do to help these people, enable them to be comfortable and manage and have a quality of life for often what can be 4 or 5 years in a dementia unit. These dear residents, wonderful people. So thank you for all your likes and views and subscriptions on the channels. And if you're enjoying this work and you're finding it helpful and useful for the dementia community, please pass on to people working with people with dementia if you feel it would help them. And if this is of interest to you, these videos, please subscribe so we can get this little channel up and running. Thank you.